You've heard us talk about hormone therapy by Happy Mammoth many times by now. It's a supplement that helps women maintain optimal hormone levels with over 50,000 glowing reviews from women all over the globe. 98% say that they would recommend it to friends and family. And that's why we're recommending it to you. Now, we can take those hormone harmony results even further by pairing it with Happy Mammoth's probiotic collagen protein. It helps restore gut lining integrity, promoting overall hormone balance. It also helps relieve occasional bloating, reduce sugar cravings, and helps you feel satisfied longer. Because your gut directly affects your hormones, improving gut health can amplify your hormone harmony results so you feel like yourself again. Happy Mammoth is dedicated to making women's lives easier, and that means using only science-backed ingredients that have been proven to work for women. They make no compromise when it comes to quality, and it shows. Right now, you can try prebiotic collagen protein and hormone harmony risk-free and get 15% off your entire order with code MurderDiaries at checkout. That's happymammoth.com and use code MurderDiaries for 15% off today.
How do you top your love for your cat? With a cascade of decadent savory gravy over a mouth-watering mousse pâté. Fancy Feast gems. 2 gourmet pâtés in one convenient pack. Simply peel and plate to reveal a pyramid shape that makes eating delightful and pamper her with an experience as extraordinary as she is. Turn the everyday into the extraordinary with Fancy Feast gems.
This episode is brought to you by Netflix. Everyone is telling her she dreamt it, but in The Woman in Cabin 10, Lo Blacklock is determined to uncover the truth. In the gripping new thriller coming to Netflix October 10th, Keira Knightley plays a journalist aboard a luxury yacht who witnesses a crime she can't unsee. Adapted from Ruth Ware's best-selling novel, directed by Simon Stone. Watch The Woman in Cabin 10 now, only on Netflix.
Welcome back to Unscripted. I'm Paige.
And I'm Natalie. Today, we're taking a deep dive into Hilary Duff. She's someone that, as a teen star, a lot of us grew up with, and it's been interesting and fun to see her quietly navigate fame from her Disney days as she reinvented herself to becoming someone who starred in movies and had a music career, and even seeing what she's done now in the 2020s.
Her career definitely went a little bit of a different way than I would have been expecting from like her earlier days to now. But so it's going to be a very interesting deep dive. And boy, are you right about that music career. This is a bit of an Easter egg for a future episode that we have coming up very soon as well.
So let's get into it. Let's start at the beginning. She actually just had a birthday.
September 28th.
September 28th. She's a 1987 baby, born in Texas, Houston to be exact. Her parents are Robert and Susan Duff. I would say Susan is pretty well known in Hilary's early career because she did act as her momager. And we definitely see a little bit of the feistiness that Hilary gets in her mom as well, because Susan is known for playing hardball with a lot of these contracts that Hilary would get.
It's that momager that we've been talking a lot about in a lot of different episodes. And it's definitely a theme, but I think it's really great. You know, obviously when somebody has family support that gets them through this industry that's really tough. And as far as I'm concerned, Hilary's not a Nepo baby, which is very hard to come by these days. So she needed somebody like Susan really, you know, championing her and helping her break through.
She's not a Nepo baby, but she does have a sister who did benefit from her great career. At least they both tried to become something, make a name for themselves at the same time. But it seems like Hilary is the one who was a little bit more successful. Her sister Haley is 2 years older, and her mom brought them both to California from Houston to start in the entertainment industry together.
Yeah, we had Haley was more focused on dance, but Hilary was also dancing, which is definitely a necessity. If you are going to be a Disney star, you need to have at least a little bit of a voice that they can play around with, if you will. and you got to be able to dance and act at a Hallmark movie level, and they can deal with you and be cute, obviously.
Disney's always searching for their next multi-hyphenate, and you really hit the nail on the head. They want someone that is able to be marketed in multiple different ways. And with Hilary, that's what they were able to do.
I think it's interesting because as we're talking about this move to California and becoming this kind of triple threat, if you will, they moved in 1993. So this means that Hilary was 5 going on 6. That's really young, but it's this also shared theme between a lot of these women that we've been talking about, that it was noticed at a very young age that this is something that maybe they could shine through. Maybe it's something they talked about wanting and or the parents wanting for them. I'm sure there are variants throughout the different women we've discussed, but being 5 and being moved to start, pursuing this is wild.
Well, it's a huge commitment. And the fact that they didn't just move the entire family, they left their dad in Texas so he could take care of the business.
Right. He had convenience stores in San Antonio and in Houston. So it makes sense that they didn't want to just give that up yet for, a 5 and like an 8-year-old or whatever.
But isn't that, like you said, it's wild to think that they would split their family up at such a young age for these kids to pursue television commercials and possibly land a TV role. I guess obviously it worked out because look at where Hilary Duff is now, but it is a huge commitment and something that I'm sure the parents didn't take lightly when they were deciding, all right, well, Robert, you're staying in Texas to take care of the convenience stores, and me and the girls, your 2 children and your wife are going to live in a different state.
Right. Your whole life, Robert, is moving halfway across the country.
I don't know if I could do that.
I definitely couldn't, but props to the family to a certain extent for being like, we're going to support these girls through this. We want this as a family. And clearly your kids gotta want it bad enough or be talking about it badly enough to do that, right? Like you can't just be a parent that wants to force them to do this stuff, right? Because I think like in the back of your mind, if you were like really forcing it, you in the back of your mind would be maybe a little bit too scared to move halfway across the country because you'd be like, oh, they barely like it anyways, but like they're gonna love it,
Right. And there is a quote from Hilary where she said, my mom saw how interested and dedicated we were to acting. And she thought, how could I tell my kids no? And she likened it to people who put their kids into sports, like travel sports. Those kids are on the move constantly. I can't say that they move states and leave half their family in a different one, but
some of them do.
So, oh, really? I mean, I guess, why am I surprised? I guess when you see that talent in your kid, all parents want to nurture it, but some parents have the ability to nurture it to a different level than most.
There are literal like boarding schools for hockey.
I didn't know that.
Yes, I once knew a kid who was actually moving across the country for ice hockey. I mean, these schools and institutions exist for specific sports, and there's all kinds of special programs. I mean, you name it. We have plenty here in Southern California, so we don't always see them moving about, but they exist. And it's actually pretty crazy because you got to think about them again being kids. Children, being so dedicated to something. So you do have to consider the role that a parent has in this, which in this case was their parents putting forth the, what do you want to call it? Like the commitment financially, et cetera, to move halfway across the country so that they could pursue their dreams. And we all know that's either going to be New York or LA,
We saw the Lohans do it. We saw the Simpsons do it. We saw Britney Spears' family do it. All of these families saw something in their kids and
Taylor Swift did it.
So we see, and we've talked about how important that early familial support is. And obviously the Duff parents saw something in both their daughters. And we're lucky that they did because now we have some really great TV and some really great music.
It's making me wonder where she went to high school because, as many people know, there's a lot of great art high schools out there and some public schools that produce a lot of actors and actresses and all kinds of stuff just out there in LA.
I didn't see anything online about where she attended. It makes me wonder if she was homeschooled and just got her GED, which would make sense if she was on set all the time.
I feel like around this time, that could probably have been more common because it was a way to be able to get things done pretty quickly and easily. You could see that. I mean, even again, I mentioned Taylor Swift in like every other episode. She also left school and she was even in the area, right? She had moved to Nashville. And it was still too much to be able to be in school because what happens, friends, is you end up missing way too much school. So you cannot be following like the legal guidelines of what you need for school and district policies for truancy, etc. So yeah, a lot of them end up leaving school. So you're probably right because she had her first gig when she was like 8, right? For the Casper movie.
I love that movie. She played Wendy. Iconic role. I was going to add that I actually did go to high school with someone who was an actor or is an actor, and they are a very big influencer nowadays. And juggling both acting and high school was really difficult. So she ended up leaving, I think, our sophomore year and got her GED and was able to work. And it just was too complicated to do both at the same time when she had to be on a movie set and not being able to show up to school on time or 5 days a week.
Isn't that the most Southern California thing ever? Don't we all know somebody who ended up doing something? Like I went to high school with a girl who did voiceovers and stuff like that. So it's just the most silly Southern California thing ever. I love that little anecdote. And I'm sure there's more.
Oh,
right?
I'm sure.
And you don't have to be from California to have that experience, people, but it is just a very California experience.
It totally is a California experience because I'll be on social media and I'll see people I went to high school with that are big influencers. And we're talking like pretty big. It is it's a trip.
It's a lot easier when you don't have to move across the country like the Duffs did to make things happen. And unfortunately, in this country, 3,000 miles apart, you got LA, you got New York, and you have other budding areas, but that's what the majority of states end up needing to do. So it might honestly be something that we all take for granted growing up here. What's like accessible in that industry, should you be interested in it?
And not to completely tangent, but I think with social media and just the internet in general, nowadays, it's so much more accessible. Like you're mentioning accessibility. Yes, it's nice when you're in the place that things are happening. But nowadays, would a family need to pick up and move across the country to California right away with their kids being 5 and 7? Or would they be able to use social media to their advantage from their home in Texas, just like where Hilary was?
You know who's coming to mind is the D'Amelio sisters. They were in Connecticut.
Literally who I thought of.
Yeah. Charlie grew that following and they knew that LA was going to provide them with more accessibility to all the things that they were probably already flying out for a lot. So as that grew, they were able to make that with a better educated idea that this was going to be worth it. Where you're right, this was a bit of a leap of faith to a certain extent. I mean, you might be able to over the phone have made certain connections, etc., but still, 1993.
Yeah, it wasn't as safe of a bet as the D'Amelio sisters had.
Right, absolutely. But I mean, it was clearly right because she had minor roles starting in 1997 all the way through when we were talking about Casper Meets Wendy. And then by 2001, she finally landed the big role.
And we're talking the most memorable role for any millennial that was watching Disney at the time.
The titular role, if you will.
Lizzie McGuire.
Lizzie freaking McGuire. When I tell you I ate this show up.
Oh, same.
I ate it up. Now, was it a little bit more like tongue-in-cheek to me? A little bit more like, this is my feel-good kind of corny show? Yeah, but I loved it.
Oh, I loved it. I loved her clothes. I loved just the content of it. It didn't feel too silly. I hadn't seen anything done like it where we had real life and then an animated little segments occasionally.
That was so new to us and unique to it. And we also got to kind of grow up with Lizzie because let's be real. It premiered January 12th of 2001. So Miss Girl was 13 years old. 13 to whenever this ended.
Well, it was only 2 seasons. And that's something that always shocks me is in my preteen, early teenage years, Lizzie McGuire felt so relevant and like it was around for a lot longer than it was. It was only 2 seasons. Granted, it was 65 episodes, which you don't really get nowadays with TV. You get maybe 8 episodes, 10 episodes.
Right. That's a very good point, and that's why it does feel bigger than 2 seasons to us because of the 2025 perspective. We got to look at it back 25 years ago.
And they had a movie afterward as well. So we got 2 seasons, 65 episodes, and a movie. We were supposed to get a second movie, but we'll talk about why that didn't exactly fall into place.
There's a lot of lore here. There really
so much
is.
Lore.
But the show was great. And I think something it really did was, like I was saying, we got to grow up with her. So from 13 to about 15 in her actual life years, Hilary is playing Lizzie McGuire. She is Lizzie McGuire. And I do think ending at 15-ish was about right because we were going to start to lose what the point of Lizzie was, which was coming of age, becoming a teenager, middle school, that kind of thing. And I understand why when she got offered the ABC spinoff for like high school years, she said no. And I was upset at the time because everybody knew that had happened, or it was very rumored. Because I was like, what? I would have loved to follow Lizzie into high school. But it's like, you got to end something when it's good. And I think she knew it was good, but this is the classic Disney star. I can't be Lizzie forever. I can't be Hannah Montana forever. They all not struggle with it, but they all crave to do something else creatively. And it makes sense.
Well, and her career at the time after Lizzie McGuire ended and the movie ended, her career is at an all-time high. She wants to take advantage of this momentum that will propel her into more adult projects. But
yes,
I also have to wonder if her hand was forced a little bit because we did hear rumors, which have been sort of confirmed nowadays, but, you know, after 20 something years, it's sort of openly talked about that there were creative and contractual clashes going on behind the scenes when there were talks of Lizzie McGuire 2 happening. And a lot of that tension came from Hilary's mom, who was said to be a little bit, not a little bit, I guess she was very demanding, wanted creative control over the movie.
This is classic Disney. They're like, no, we're going to give you $15,000 an episode. When they're like, no, I'm worth $100,000 an episode. I have built an entire franchise for you through this character. I am no longer worth 10, 15 grand an episode. And Disney's like, watch us. So we'll let your show go. We don't need you because we've got 500 other people who want to be stars and we can make their own shows. Disney's classic for that. They will end a show.
Oh, they're cutthroat. And so negotiations fell apart and Hilary moved on to movies like A Cinderella Story and a music career. And Disney was fine.
Yeah. Well, and we can't forget Cadet Kelly. But that was during the Lizzie McGuire era. So I could see where this might be before tensions were there, before that, contract that was the final straw. But I also think, again, it is okay to end something when things like that are happening and then it's just not working anymore. Like if you have grown as an actor, as an artist, and these types of contracts aren't working for you anymore and you've kind of outgrown it, well, then it's okay to end it while it's still good and move on to what you want. And Disney moves on to build another one of their gajillion little Disney stars and move on. And I don't mean little in a trivializing way. I just mean little in that they're usually young.
And it's not like she didn't have things going on. Like I said, she was at a high point. She was booked and busy. Around this time, she's also starring in movies outside of Disney, like Agent Cody Banks with Frankie Muniz.
Yes. Cannot forget that one. Are you kidding me? Didn't they date after that?
I don't know that they dated, but
probably rumored or something. You know what I mean?
She does have quite an interesting dating history, which we will tap into as well.
Yes, I think we should. And I don't want to get too far off of the earlier movies like Agent Cody and Cadet Kelly, who had the one and only Chrissy Carlson Romano. Love. Well, I didn't know this until I was brushing up for this episode, but Cadet Kelly was Disney's most watched program in its 19-year history at that point.
Wow. I didn't know that either, but it just shows how cutthroat they are. They're willing to cut one of the stars from that show or film.
Like, I love that you bring it back to that because exactly, this is a 2002 movie. They did not care.
No.
But I also think that this film, it did so well because it had Christy and Hilary together, which, I'm sorry, but neither of them is a bad actress. I know sometimes we like to kind of giggle about the level of acting on Disney, but neither one of them are Disney's worst. I'm just going to say that.
Yeah, they are pretty talented and their acting abilities extend beyond the Disney style of acting.
And they both have really good comedic timing, and that matters a lot.
Oh, absolutely. It translates into their later work. Like,
yes,
we'll talk about how Hilary ends up on How I Met Your Mother or Father.
I always call it that too, because the names are like the same, because they're a play on each other. I found it interesting after Cadet Kelly and Lizzie McGuire. Of course, she was in some of the movies that you already so helpfully had listed, but also she was working on soundtracks and her own album. So she was still working a little bit with Disney, where she did like a cover of the Tiki 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 Room. And then she obviously again went on to have her own albums and charted with those albums. So she wasn't hurting in her career ending. So again, with this theme of it probably was just something that was ending at a good time, regardless of tensions or not.
And like you said, she went straight into her second studio album, Metamorphosis, which I feel like is probably her most well-known. That came out in 2003.
And just the best.
Well, we probably thought it was the best because we're one of her contemporaries. But
yeah,
I have seen that music critics necessarily didn't agree whether or not it was an outstanding album.
I feel like it's very hard for 50-year-old male critics to understand what a 16-year-old, 18-year-old is releasing. I'm pretty sure by Metamorphosis that she was getting closer and closer to like 16, 17, 18 years old.
And we do know that it did top Billboard 200 charts. So people were listening. And by the time it had been out for a few years, it sold 5 million copies. If the album wasn't great, it wouldn't have done that.
Oh, I have the release date here just because you know how annoying I am with dates. Metamorphosis released in August of 2003. So she was still 15. So I want to correct myself there. It's quintessential to Hilary Duff and the fandom of this era. And I guess that's what I mean when I was kind of joking around saying like, because it's the best. Like when you think of Hilary and you want nostalgia of this era, like turning on Metamorphosis is definitely an option. Like So Yesterday, are you kidding me? And then Come Clean, which ended on one of my favorite shows ever, Laguna Beach, The Real Orange County, which we'll get into that someday.
Hilary's Come Clean is synonymous with Laguna Beach.
Absolutely. It really lifted the show and that album up a lot. And I think led her to, well, she toured before the show even came out. So she had already made the name for the album. You know what I mean? Like she had toured all of these things and then Laguna Beach premiered with it. So what's interesting is that show, which is a cult classic in and of its own, the same way that this album is, came out only about a year after she finished her small Metamorphosis tour. The song was like at the time kind of like young and hip and still relevant. Like a year in music back then was not a long time.
Things didn't move the way that they move now.
That's right. I don't think the technology to do it all allowed for that, right? I think things were still a little bit more expensive to do, and just the accessibility of streaming and social media creating this need for instant gratification, which is why I think you see a lot of artists doing like these like little singles and EPs a lot more today because it's quicker and easier. So anyways, yeah, a year was that song was still new. It was still relevant. It was still in our CD players. Like that's what was happening.
And I think a lot of people, when they think of Hilary Duff, forget, I know we mentioned Haley, her older sister, a little bit ago. They forget that Haley was also along for the ride and trying to make a name for herself at the same time. And Hilary was watching Haley try to get her own music career off the ground when she was sort of tapped and seen as, this is a girl who has a built-in audience for preteens. Let's get her a record deal. And so Haley may have been working on music before, but Hilary sort of was able to get it done a little bit faster. And there was something I uncovered, and I totally forgot about this during my research for today's episode, was the fact that Haley actually did have a record deal. She signed on with Hollywood Records, and she had a song that was going to come out and sort of be the first one to her album called Screwed in August of 2004. It was her debut single. Well, she had a clash with none other than Paris Hilton because apparently Paris Hilton also recorded the same debut single for her upcoming album.
Oh
and
my gosh.
Can you imagine the conflict there with Paris Hilton and Hilary Duff?
Oh, there wasn't going to be a competition. I'm sorry, not at this time.
Well, there wasn't a competition because Paris is camp. They won't take credit for this, but we know it was them released her version of the song before Haley could ever get hers out.
And that's all they could probably really do legally, right? Because when the song was being shopped around, it was landed on both of their team's desks and they ended up singing it and recording it. That's wild. I did not know that.
And okay, so that's wild, right? So we have that feud brewing. Paris comes out on top, but then this feud between Haley and Paris Hilton sort of coincided with the release of a movie that starred both Haley and Hilary called Material Girls.
Which I freaking love.
Oh, I loved that movie. I ate it up.
It's one of her best, honestly.
Well, what is that movie about? It's about two entitled sisters that grew up in wealth and fame.
Yep.
And during the press tour for this film, it was sort of hinted at, not even cheekily, that inspiration was taken from the Hilton sisters. So,
oh, sure.
You know, Hilary and Haley got a few more punches in with this. In fact, I saw a clip online while I was looking into this where a presenter pulls up a picture of Paris and Nikki Hilton and directly asked Hilary if they were inspiration for the film. So she kind of laughs it off and says, well, yeah, basically. So things weren't exactly peachy between the two sisters.
Interesting. I literally never knew that, and I'm very surprised, but I guess that goes to show lack of access to social media at the time, or at least what social media content was, because social media was kind of budding around this time.
Last little tidbit. Apparently, Hilary and Paris were at a party around this time, and Paris shoved Hilary, and that became news as well. So these feuds between both the Duff sisters and the Hilton sisters, whether fabricated or not, certainly made its way into the pop culture world that people were reading and hearing about.
I think being at a party with Paris Hilton at this time showcases what a young A-lister that Hilary was at the time. Because what do we have in 2004? We had the iconic A Cinderella Story. And I mean, that is also one of her best movies. I would say A Cinderella Story and Material Girls read as a, how do I want to word this? Like, you're always better with words than I am, Natalie, but like this idea of, oh, she's not Disney anymore. This is a regular theatrical release. Or
it's a little bit more grown up, though. I don't know.
Yeah.
I know that's not what you're looking for, but That's what it feels. She evolved out of the Disney image, squeaky clean image, and she's now starring alongside Chad Michael Murray, having a makeout session in the rain at the end of the film. And can we address the elephant in the room? What? She was 15 at the time of filming this movie, and he was 22. And there are interviews. So there's a lot surrounding Cinderella's story. So I think we should just take a bite and...
My plate is full. My plate is full for this. Okay. My plate is full and I am set. I never really realized that. But yeah, Chad Michael Murray is several years older than Hilary. If she's 87,
he was a full-on adult. His brain may not have been fully developed, but a 22-year-old man making out, starring alongside as the romantic interest of a 15-year-old, kind of weird. Not kind of, it's weird. It's full stop weird.
When they were filming, again, back then, things were a little slower. You filmed probably like a year before the film came out? Now it's much closer to 3 to 6 months sometimes, depending, for a film longer, but for like shows and reality shows and stuff. She probably was 15, 16 when they're filming this. And because it came out in 2004, she turned 17.
Know she was 15 because they did a press tour for promoting this film. And in some of those promos, they went on talk shows.
Yeah.
And there's this story that both Chad Michael Murray and Hilary Duff brought up in separate interviews where they talk about how when they initially started filming, by day 3 of filming, they needed to do one of the most pivotal scenes in the movie where they come together and full on make out in the rain in front of an entire bleacher area filled with extras. Well, it turns out that the director wasn't happy with what happened. And he called them into his trailer the next day and said, all right, I need you guys to practice making out. And this is a story that 22-year-old Chad Michael Murray awkwardly tells to Conan O'Brien. And then Hilary confirms this in another interview where basically the director said, all right, you need to make out and you need to make it look good. And I guess it was awkward because they didn't really know each other. And they said, can we have 10 minutes? So they had 10 minutes to themselves. And the director came back in and said, go, start making out. This is a 15-year-old and a 22-year-old. Like, it's one thing to do it for the film, like on camera, but he was having them do like rehearsals in his trailer, which I feel like is so odd.
What a time to be alive. And by the way, they are almost exactly 6 years apart. So not only do we have a teenager and somebody in their 20s, they're 6 years apart, which is a quite sizable age gap at really any age. I mean, not unheard of, but like, wow, even at 20 and 26, that would be a lot. Like, you gotta wait till you're like 25 and 31 for it to start closing. I'm sorry. That's insane. Like, it's actually disturbing.
It is disturbing. And I don't think we can move past the Cinderella story without talking about all the other drama that was associated with it. It actually coincides with this Cold War she had with Lindsay Lohan. Do you remember that feud between her and our favorite Lindsay?
Because of Aaron Carter?
Because of Aaron Carter, but continued through Cinderella's story. So, Paige, do you want to walk us through the beginning stages of Hilary's feud with Lindsay Lohan?
There's so much freaking noise out there about the best ways to take care of yourself, especially during pregnancy and postpartum. That's why I am so thankful that I discovered Ritual way back in 2018 after my sister turned me on to them. For me, I take their 18 Plus multivitamin as well as their probiotic, but they do also offer tailored nutrient support for key phases of pregnancy, all the way from fertility to essential prenatal and postnatal multis. I continue to choose Ritual and have since 2018 because of the way the products made me feel immediately. But before that, I pushed that order button because I was able to go on the website and see exactly where they source their ingredients from. The transparency was a really big deal for me. I also really love how easy these vitamins are to take. Each capsule features this really cool delayed release design that makes it super gentle on an empty stomach. So yes, you don't have to make sure that you have something in your stomach or not when you take a Ritual vitamin. And trust me, I've taken them both ways, so I can attest. Ritual is also third-party tested and Clean Label Project certified, so you know you can trust it. I'm also super excited because I just got my first FSA card, and Ritual is FSA eligible, so I will definitely be looking forward to spending my pre-tax dollars on my Ritual vitamins. When it comes to pregnancy and postpartum support, you want products backed by research and transparency. Mom Founded Ritual puts in the work and shows you the proof. Get 25% off your first month at ritual.com/diaries. That's ritual.com/diaries for 25% off your first month.
No one should have to choose between their own safety and their pets. But nearly half of domestic abuse survivors delay leaving because they can't bring their pets with them. Purina is helping to create more pet-friendly domestic violence shelters through the Purple Leash Project, so survivors and their pets can escape and heal together. Visit Purina.com/purple to learn more.
This episode is brought to you by Nature's Bounty. Nature's Bounty believes your body is brilliant, naturally designed to thrive, inside and out. For those always looking for new ways to support your health from head to heels, Nature's Bounty has a range of over 400 vitamins and supplements born from 50 years of trust and care. Nature's Bounty. It's in your nature. Visit naturesbounty.com to learn more.
This episode is brought to you by Tic Tac. Your boss is going off at you for missing a deadline and you swear the clock just moved backwards. Suddenly, you remember the pack of Tic Tacs on your desk. Now you're riding horseback on the beach, the smell of citrus in the air. And what's this? Your boss is sitting behind you, breathing heavenly fresh mint? Refresh your mouth and mind and share your good vibes with Tic Tac.
Learning through play starts with Lego Duplo. With Lego Duplo, toddlers can develop real-life skills while having fun with colorful bricks made just for them. Large, easy to grip, and safe to explore. When children express themselves with Lego Duplo, they build patience, problem-solving, and empathy. See your child learn perseverance and self-expression with everything they imagine and create. Visit lego.com/preschool to learn more.
Oh, I thought you would never ask. So a lot of this feud is centered around the one and only R.I.P. Aaron Carter. It was definitely an iconic feud of the 2000s. So we got to take it back to December 2000, which is when Aaron guest starred on Lizzie McGuire's Christmas episode. And they actually started dating at that point on his 13th birthday, which is December 7th, I believe, of this time. And I only remember that from when he passed a couple years ago. Then 2 years later, we fast forward and Hilary is no longer with Aaron, as happens with teenage relationships. And he is now dating Lindsay Lohan. And he's quoted as saying, "I was dating Hilary for like a year and a half, and then I just got a little bored. So I went on and started to get to know Lindsay." Cold.
Well, also, what a teenage boy response, right?
100%. And what's interesting about this quote is he told that to flippin' CNBC in 2005. So 3 years after he had started dating Lindsay, he's talking about that still. So this also shows you how like slow things were moving at this point in our Hollywood timelines.
Well, I heard that there was some cheating involved. So like he was with Hilary, then he was with Lindsay, then he went back to Hilary.
This is exactly what happened because in April 2003, he did actually get back together with Hilary and was at the Lizzie McGuire movie premiere. So people were seeing these pictures and they knew, but that was very short-lived. It fizzled out as quickly as it fizzled back on. And a few months later, they were not together anymore. So you can see the timeline's getting messy because then in December 2003, the girls had like this kind of quiet war because obviously this back and forth created those questions of some form of cheating, etc., and overlaps of timelines. And we all know this as teenagers. A lot of times you'll see that one of the partners is kind of feeling it out with somebody else before they end it with their current partner. And this is where they learn some hard lessons that that's not okay. So that's probably a lot of like what was going on, you know?
Yeah. I think you described it perfectly. It was really more of a Cold War. It was very passive aggressive. I think at the time too, Hilary released a song called Haters, and then Lindsay would fight back and comment about Hilary in interviews. She actually had it when she hosted SNL. She had her opening monologue talking about Hilary Duff and saying basically, oh, I don't know why we're mad at each other. And then she had one of the actresses dressed up as Hilary.
That is peak SNL. It was Rachel Dratch dressed up as Hilary. She had the hat on and everything. But what's also interesting is this whole time that Cold War you're talking about was basically consisting of them showing up at different premieres of their movies. And it's like, you're not my friend. I didn't invite you. Why would you come? So I guess that's like a bit, I don't want to say taboo, but I guess that's like a statement to do, not a statement I ever really understood besides this Cold War, but that was a big deal.
It's also a really smart PR move on their parts because I'll tell you why. They both starred in a movie with Chad Michael Murray. So we had Freaky Friday come out in 2003 starring Lindsay Lohan alongside Chad Michael Murray. At that premiere, Chad Michael Murray brought Hilary Duff as his date. And apparently that caused a stir because what is Hilary Duff doing at Lindsay Lohan's movie premiere? And when Chad Michael Murray was asked about it in one of these interviews, he said, well, we're filming a movie together and we're trying to get to know each other. So I brought her as my date. I didn't know that it would start something, but of course he knew. Of course everyone knew, but this is a way that they could promote both movies, right?
Well, and just several months later, Lindsay turns around and shows up to the premiere for Cheaper by the Dozen. So that's the whole Cold War of it all right there.
And supposedly, Susan Duff, Hilary's mom, tried to get Lindsay Lohan kicked off the red carpet and not allowed into the premiere. And apparently, Lindsay saw one of the executives, and the executives told Hilary's mom, you're not allowed to do that. Basically, like, you're overstepping.
And it kind of is, you know, at the end of the day. Like, this is just a teenage...
Oh, it's teenage pettiness. Like,
it's
there's
petty.
no need for adults to be involved.
Right. No one's breaking laws. No one's keying cars. They're having a little bit of a cat fight. And Aaron should have cleaned it up in the beginning, but he didn't, you know, rest his soul. But it doesn't help that Lindsay's going on TRL saying things like, oh, I love you, Hilary Duff. Like, they're each trying to like look like the better
stoking the
person.
fire, for sure.
Yeah. And so this just kind of went on throughout like the mid 2000s, you know, from SNL in 2004 and, you know, the Cold War of showing up at things and saying things on TRL and then
showing up the premieres and...
Yeah. And then Hilary went on in that same year, but months later, and is quoted in Blender magazine saying, sometimes I hate Lindsay Lohan, which is kind of interesting, but like, I think it's gotta be some kind of answer to the TRL sarcasm of, I love Hilary Duff.
Probably. But isn't it interesting that, at least for me, there's been sort of some revisionist history going on because we all remember Hilary Duff as this goody two-shoes and Lindsay Lohan as this wild child. But I mean, they're both 1987 babies. They both came up at the same time. They obviously were contemporaries of each other. They were filming movies around the same time. Not to
overcorrect, but Lindsay is July of 86.
Okay, so she's a year older.
Just 1 year older. Exactly. Like they're almost exactly a year apart, you know?
Thank you for the correction. I think it's important that we have their accurate ages. But as you can
I'm
see,
just crazy with dates, but you're very nice.
No, but they would be in high school at the same time. And this is
exactly.
This is that time of their lives, right? So we can see that they have this high school mentality because that's where they're
That's
at.
what it is. Yeah.
But like I said, we have this sort of revisionist history where Hilary Duff is remembered as this good, clean girl next door, and Lindsay is this messy, wild child party girl. And I think we overlook the sassiness and the edge that Hilary Duff had and was showing in the media at the time. It's just she wasn't arrested for driving under the influence of cocaine, or she wasn't caught shaving her head like Britney Spears. So I think it gets overlooked that, yeah, she was a little bit messy too.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely. I think another interesting part of this feud, which, I mean, honestly, we could probably have an entire episode
Just on
feud. It. Clearly, you could tell how like amped up we are speaking about these different moments, and it's like all coming back to life for us. Because this was like a big deal back then. Yeah, like we followed it. But this moment is so interesting to me. In 2005, Lindsay claims that she called Hilary, that she just, she wanted to talk things out. And by 2005,
like it should have been over with.
Right. Lindsay's out of the high school age, although very young still, probably 18, going on 19 at the time. And she says she called Hilary to put the feud to rest, but that none other than Haley answered the phone.
That doesn't surprise me.
And then hung up. But my thing is, if you pick up the phone and then hang up, how do you know it was Haley? So did maybe you have like a 1-second conversation and Haley like say something kind of cheeky and then hang up, like, you're a loser, and hung up? Or like, you know what I mean?
I mean,
because how did she know it was Haley? Unless she's lying.
I feel like that sounds like such a real moment, though. As someone who is an older sister, you know that if someone were calling my sister and had been dogging them for years, I would pick up the phone and I would answer.
Yeah, I think I'd let my older sister do that.
Right?
Yeah.
So it doesn't surprise me. It sounds like a very real moment. If it's not true, who knows? But it does sound real and like very plausible.
It's such a picture of things kind of closing up, though, actually, too. Like, I know it's a physical action of like hanging up on somebody and like he. Like, it's definitely a moment, an event, but it kind of just shows like the distance, right? We're now at a phone, not a red carpet, those types of things. And what's interesting is that by 2007, which is about the same age that Lindsay was when she would have called, Hilary finally tells people that it's over. We're both adults. What happened when we were younger, it's over.
So she calls it like ancient history or something.
Yeah. She just says, we were hanging out the other night and she's a nice girl. And so I think that, yeah, it's one of those things where you go, why didn't we like each other in high school?
Or she got media training. And they were like, hey, stop doing that. You don't have a movie to promote anymore alongside her.
All of it. I think it's a little bit of growth, a little bit of that brought said growth. And I think that's great. And it makes sense, the timing, because they probably would have been about 2 grades apart in school, because I think that Hilary would have been about class of 2006, perhaps 2005, and Lindsay is a definite 2004. So you kind of think they're a grade or 2 apart in high school, so that by April 2007, they might run into each other and be like, who even cares anymore? Erin's a loser, girl power. You know what I'm saying? So I think that that's really great that they at least kind of ended it at that kind of level.
Okay. So as we're moving along in the timeline.
Yes, unfortunately, we do have to keep it going.
We need to talk about her relationship with Joel Madden. Yes, Joel Madden from Good Charlotte. They started dating when she was 16 and he was 25.
In 2004.
Yeah. So we talked about Chad Michael Murray making out with then 15-year-old Hilary Duff at 22. This is a full-grown man, 25 years old now, Joel Madden from Good Charlotte, now with a 16-year-old. And they were photographed by paparazzi. It was an open secret that they were dating. She was asked about it in interviews, and she would just kind of like giggle and sidestep those questions without really ever answering, because how could they? It's illegal.
I think it begs the question that we have asked once on TikTok: when will men stop dating teenage girls.
Oh, never?
Grown men.
Because people are always trying to normalize it, and that's what they were trying to do with this relationship.
Mm-hmm.
They didn't call it out enough. That's what I'm saying. Like, it should have been called out way more.
It should have, but it has been going on since the flippin' 1920s or 30s when it came to Hollywood. As Hollywood came to rise, these young women were always dating these like older, literal men. And what's interesting about you talking about their relationship outside of just that whole thing of it all is that it kind of ties in with the feud that we were just talking about too, because supposedly Joel Madden, while he was dating Hilary, refused to give Lindsay's little brother an autograph at one of the Cody. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And he was at a Good Charlotte concert, but Joel was like, no, like he didn't give him. I wonder if that really happened. I don't know.
I believe it happened. And I think it shows how like messy Hilary could be. Like I said a little bit ago, we really have sort of forgotten this messy era of hers.
Well, yeah, because supposedly the whole reason, not just because, I'm dating Hilary, so I'm going to be on her side. He said, I'm not going to give any of the Lohan family an autograph until Lindsay publicly apologizes to Hilary.
Like,
which is
what was his
wild.
grown self doing?
You are
involving
a grown
himself.
man. I'm pretty sure, when were they born? Like 1979. I'm looking up the birthday right now because, everybody who's been listening needs to know. Yep. March 11th, 1979. Sir,
no, get out of here.
Sit down.
I mean, also,
please
like,
sit
how
down.
old was Lindsay Lohan's little brother, right?
8.
He was 8 at the time?
Yes.
With, a 20-something-year-old man saying that he idolizes. I'm sure because he attended the concert, so he must have liked him.
Yeah, he must have liked Good Charlotte enough, and
That's
the family
so sad.
didn't give a hoot enough about them dating or not, and was like, cool, yeah, like, we'll go. And then they got that kind of treatment. Like, ooh, I don't know.
See, like,
it's rough.
It kind of makes sense, though, if he was dating Hilary. Like, I really feel like she is someone that is going to stick up for herself and maybe others too. And she probably was like, no, you need to put your foot down and stick up for me too with this girl and her family that have been terrorizing me. But yeah, I just think that whole relationship is weird that it was so normalized. Even her mom had comments about it in the media saying, oh, well, we trust them. Do you? You trust your daughter, your teenage daughter with a grown man?
That's a problem. Immediately, when a grown man is dating a teenager, nonetheless, somebody with a significant age gap from him, you should be immediately asking, why aren't women his own age wanting to date him? And why isn't he wanting to date them if that's the case as well? Like, what is going on here? Because neither side of that is good.
Well, and then when they were officially coming out with their relationship publicly, because by the time they had been dating a little over 2 years, she was just about to turn 18. She wasn't 18 just yet. They came out hand in hand during like a music awards or something like that, and they presented together. They sort of made it seem like, oh, well, we're adults now, but she still was underage. I just think that's like so weird.
It is. There's no good way to write that relationship off. You know what I mean? Like, it's just was not a good moment. And I wonder what she thinks of it as, number one, a grown adult, but number two, a mom. Like, what would she tell her son or daughter? She has one of each.
Well, she has a couple daughters, and that's funny you bring it up because
she has 4 kids now, right?
Yeah, she has 4 kids. It's a little, I imagine, complicated. So at the time, Joel Madden came out and said that he actually would feel uncomfortable if he had a daughter and she was dating someone his age while she was a teenager. So he knew it was wrong.
You were dating a 17-year-old. Hello?
Yeah. So he came out and said that. So like he knew it was wrong. And then like fast forward to present day, Hilary Duff is actually friends with Joel Madden and his wife, Nicole Richie, and her husband have been seen on double dates with them. So like there's no love lost between Hilary Duff and Joel Madden.
Which that's nice, but also you look across the table at him and see that this man dated a teenager that was you.
Well,
like,
that's what I'm saying. So like, what does she think about it nowadays? She probably doesn't think much of it because
she probably
she's friends with him still.
Yeah. I mean, it sounds like the good news.
He was a good guy.
That, I don't even know if we can say that.
At the end of that, by the way, if it wasn't clear.
Totally heard the question mark. At least a large amount of trauma didn't come from that, but I don't know how you date a full-grown man who's 25 years old and not come out of that with trauma as a teenager. I just don't understand, because you're not 25 and that's just way too old for you. And I'm not even like, if I was a mom, like I wouldn't even be that strict. Like I'm just not like that, and I didn't grow up like that. But that is just ick, and there's just no way you could be with somebody that's that much older and is that much more of an adult than you when you're a teenager and not come out with having to be in spaces and places and situations that you shouldn't be in yet. I'm sorry.
Well, and he's not the only older man that she dated as a teenager. And I say older man kind of loosely, like obviously 25. Yeah, he's a man, but like he's not like 45, right?
Yeah, he's not like 45, right?
Okay, so she eventually started dating Mike Comrie, who would have become her first husband. And they started dating in 2007. He was born in 1980. So Joel Madden, born 1979. Mike Comrie, I just looked it up, so I know it's factual, 1980. Yeah. So again, we see someone much older dating a teenage Hilary Duff. And that relationship, like I said, eventually turned into marriage. The marriage didn't last long. They did have a son while married. And that also was an interesting moment for me as someone who's close in age to Hilary and followed her career and watched her and, watched her because I liked the way she dressed. I wanted to know what she was doing as someone similarly aged. To become such a young mom in Hollywood, especially.
She was like 23 or 4, right?
Yeah. I mean, it just was unheard of at the time.
Yeah.
And I think that's around the time she started not involving herself in so many feuds, because there are other feuds that we didn't address. She was in a feud with Avril Lavigne. She was in a feud with an older actress that I can't exactly remember the name of, but she legit called the actress old. So we sort of see this settling down of Hilary, at least in her personal life.
We do. There's more music. There's babies being born all the way up until pretty recently.
With her, after her divorce with Mike Comrie, she did get remarried.
Yes, that's right. That's right.
To Matthew Coma.
And then from like 2018 all the way through last year, we have a Lizzie McGuire revival rumored that then was scrapped, ? Which is kind of sad to me, but also I think, again, for the 15th time in this episode, letting somebody or something or a character or show live where it was best is fine. Of course, we love a revival, but that being said, and we also get How I Met Your Father, which is also sadly
discontinued.
Done. Yeah.
She was also in another series. My parents were just watching it. And they're like, oh, you have to watch it. It's so good. It's where she works in publishing.
Yeah, Younger. Really great show. She's with a really famous Broadway star, Sutton Foster.
Yes.
It's a great show. And it's kind of funny when it starts. Sutton is like pretending to be somebody that's not her age, and Hilary ends up being her friend, not knowing her real age. She's supposedly like really, I think somewhere around 40, and she is trying to play like a 25, 6-year-old or whatever, and they make her born in 1988. So that tells you when the show was conceptualized and started being written. And it is getting a little bit older now as a show, but it was a really, really great show. I personally enjoyed.
The name Sutton Foster is ringing a bell because I think she was also embroiled in a cheating scandal recently. But I mean, that's neither here nor there. It just shows
might be right.
When you're in the limelight, there are bound to be scandals all around you.
Yeah. And By star, I don't know like a bunch about Sutton's career, but I'm almost positive she was like just on Broadway for something. And I don't know if that came before or after acting. So like, please, I'm not a Sutton Foster.
Oh,
like
neither am I. I think it was with like Hugh Jackman or something. I think that's who he cheated, or allegedly they cheated on their spouses with. But to bring it back to Hilary Duff.
Yes. So that's this whole period. So she's still working. Let's say that. Period,
she's working. She's booked busy. She's a mom. Mm-hmm. She goes home at night to her kids, her second husband, Matthew Coma. And sort of around, like as we approach 2020, 2021, we also see a sort of like unaddressed feud happening online that eagle-eyed like social media followers were able to notice. And actually one TikToker, his name's Jordy Cray, brought it up and brought attention to it. And that's where I first heard about it. They uncovered that the Duff sisters, so Hilary and Haley, around 2020, 2021, sort of fell out of contact with each other, whether that means there was a feud going on, whether that means they just weren't talking to each other or they grew apart. But
this is odd for them too, because
they grew up as best friends.
Yeah, they're just over a year and a half apart. So Haley being older, I believe like February 86. So, yeah, this isn't like a normal thing for them.
So like, wow, people online were starting to question like, is something up between Hilary and Haley? Because like you said, they were inseparable. They're close in age. They're not just friends, they're sisters. They've starred in a movie together. They've sang songs together.
They've supported each other in different projects. Haley had a Food Network or cooking channel show. I loved that show so much. Yeah, and they only gave her like 2 seasons.
So yeah, there's just been this shift between their engagement with each other online. They used to post each other all the time, like out and about, or birthday posts, or they would comment on each other's photos of like their nieces and nephews. And that's all sort of fallen away. There's nothing like that nowadays. And there is even people that noticed Haley was missing from Hilary's second wedding. She wasn't in any of the photos. So there's like no public drama, but
that's big though.
That like absence not being at your is really wedding. Loud.
Yeah, the absence is loud. Yeah.
So yeah, there's a lot of speculation that perhaps it was related to politics. Perhaps it was related to something else. We don't know. I would love to get Jordy Cray on to talk about this feud or just pop culture in general. So
Jordy,
if you're listening, come on.
So let's take it to today and wind this up a little bit. She's got a lot of things going on. She has like an essential oil, like scent brand. I'm not super up on it, but I've seen a lot of ads. It's called Below 60 Degrees. And that started on like QVC early this year, actually. And then, like I said, I keep seeing ads on like Instagram and stuff for it. So that's pretty interesting for like home fragrance and stuff.
She has her hands in a lot of different businesses, though. I think she even is.
She's new music.
I feel like that deserves its own little segment, but she's an investor in a diaper brand. Like a clean diaper brand.
Interesting.
So yeah, she does a lot of business ventures when she's not acting or, like you said, singing, which is huge news.
Yes, and other huge news is that in August, so just like 2 months ago, it was announced that she is executively producing a new drama series. It's going to be called Pretty Ugly. It's going to be on Hulu.
I hadn't heard of that.
Yeah, it's based on a book of the same name. So I'm very excited to see what happens. Is she going to be in it? A lot of times when an actor executively produces, you might see them in it in one way or another. So that's kind of fun. And then, yes, new music. Let us give that its segment as we wind down, because there are pictures on social media popping off that she posted that said, what was the caption? I can't remember. Do you remember it? It was some kind of cheeky caption.
Continues or something like that.
Something cheeky like that. And people were going crazy, resharing. She knew people were going to be pumped. And we'll see if we get another iconic moment. Do you remember that moment where she's like kind of dancing, but barely dancing? Maybe it's not her strong
Disney
suit.
Knees. Like it's something like that, right? Like people do the dance on TikTok a lot. And she actually came on and participated in that trend.
People do it because it's not necessarily Disney knees, but it's like people are just saying she was doing so much and nothing all at the same time.
Literally, like, go on, girl, give us nothing.
Listen, I can't dance at all. It's just like a sillyish moment where like she's doing all the steps, but it's like barely, because again, like dancing, especially at that level, is hard. And then have backup dancers that have been dancing like their whole lives behind you.
It's a lot of like micro movements on her part. I think that's
micro movements. Yeah. Look them up. And a lot of like 2010 dark makeup, like
a lot of shoulders too. Like I'm just like picturing it in my head. I can't dance either. I bet you I could do that dance. Maybe. I don't want to sound too full of myself.
Slow enough for us to see all the internet. But I am telling you, my husband can dance and I cannot. So like, girl, I feel you. This is no shade. It's just a silly moment that I didn't want to like gloss over as we talk about her. And it is cool that she had such like a good spirit about it, because people are doing it more in appreciation, because we actually kind of sometimes the public loves a star who like gives nothing and everything all at the same time. And that's what she was serving.
I think that we need to acknowledge that we really do like Hilary Duff, and we've enjoyed watching her sort of like slow roast into this adult actress with putting out great TV, putting out hopefully some great music. She didn't crash and burn like her like contemporaries. We had Lindsay Lohan, what happened to her. We had what happened to Britney. We had what happened to Paris. And Hilary has sort of been able to fly under the radar and not have any public meltdowns or anything like that. So she's really been a consistent name in the media for all this time. And it's nice that she was able to escape the Disney child actress machine and become a name for herself.
She was never what I'll call like the teeny bopper. You know what I mean? Like she has always been an actor, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like I always saw her in a different light on a different playing field than some of the other, like there's been times in Hilary's life where I would consider her, an A-lister, and it's different. Like I see her as an actor.
Yes. And I think she's always skewed like towards a little bit of a younger audience. Mm-hmm. And I don't know, but I think it's really nice that she's been consistently likable, grounded, and I would say a little messy, but like messy enough to be interesting, not messy enough to ruin her life.
Yes. Always giving us breadcrumbs, even when she's not always in your face.
Mm-hmm.
Well, this was a lovely moment to give to Hilary that I don't know if she gets a lot. So I hope if she ever did hear, which she won't,
I feel like she has a really good sense of humor.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
I don't think she's easy to offend. And I that's would never be my goal for any of these episodes. But like, I especially think that she'd be like, oh, like, thanks for being interested in me.
Yeah. And thanks for the free promo. We got you, girl. Well, this was fun. We can't wait to see you guys next Monday with another episode of Unscripted. But before that, we'll see you on Thursday for our normal true crime case coverage of a case that needs your attention. Until then, bye.
There's so much freaking noise out there about the best ways to take care of yourself, especially during pregnancy and postpartum. That's why I am so thankful that I discovered Ritual way back in 2018 after my sister turned me on to them. For me, I take their 18 Plus multivitamin as well as their probiotic, but they do also offer tailored nutrient support for key phases of pregnancy, all the way from fertility to essential prenatal and postnatal multis. I continue to choose Ritual and have since 2018 because of the way the products made me feel immediately. But before that, I pushed that order button because I was able to go on the website and see exactly where they source their ingredients from. The transparency was a really big deal for me. I also really love how easy these vitamins are to take. Each capsule features this really cool delayed release design that makes it super gentle on an empty stomach. So yes, you don't have to make sure that you have something in your stomach or not when you take a Ritual vitamin. And trust me, I've taken them both ways, so I can attest. Ritual is also third-party tested and Clean Label Project certified, so you know you can trust it. I'm also super excited because I just got my first FSA card, and Ritual is FSA eligible, so I will definitely be looking forward to spending my pre-tax dollars on my Ritual vitamins.
When it comes to pregnancy and postpartum support, you want products backed by research and transparency. Mom Founded Ritual puts in the work and shows you the proof. Get 25% off your first month at ritual.com/diaries. That's ritual.com/diaries for 25% off your first month.